What up, cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers? Happy Thursday morning to all of you, November 21st. Thank you for watching Sportsbook Review. This is Betting with the Bag. We have a giant card today. A giant card we've called an audible. We are going to be bringing Babano into the show 4 minutes in. There's no point for me to cap a game and then have him come in 20 minutes later, cap a game. Let's cap all the games together, baby. 13 NHL games, but I don't have a lot of looks on this card. I made a bet last night on the Panthers -1.5 at +140, but I find it a difficult card. I find it quite like the NBA card yesterday, which we went 3-1 on, but it was a huge card, but there weren't a ton of angles. Now, had I backed my Raptors, it would have been glorious. Had I taken the Nuggets like I wanted to, it would have been a glorious day. But whatever, we're back to very close to double-digit units in both NHL and NBA, and I feel good about it. And all of you who joined me last night with DJ Big Boss in the Big Ragu for the Playoff Drive Live Pick 6 show, I had a lot of fun doing that. Had some sound issues off the top. I had a lot of fun doing that, and we're going to be doing that every Wednesday night moving forward, and I enjoyed it immensely. Shout out to all the cappers in the chat. We got Joe Rich Ramirez. We got Gonzalo. Says the Capitals under 6 that made me sweat after being so relaxed by the start of the third. It was funny. I was watching it as well. But I was like, come on, you're not going to do me like this. But I feel you. It's all Jared LeMay coming off a 7-0 last night. Love hearing that. AM, Wizards moneyline cash. Hawks +11 cash. Hawks moneyline sprinkle miss. Titty sauce off to a 6-1 start this week. We rolling AM. Wow, love that. Jared LeMay saying that DeRozan prop was an easy cash. It was almost too easy. Joseph Spooner in the house. We got Reese, Yenny Toon, Jared LeMay. Oh, it's Viper NB's birthday. Our guy, OG Lowbagger, Viper NB. Need a pick. That's a lock. Okay. Oh, Viper, my guy. Happy birthday. May this be a glorious year full of profit. May the black be the only thing you know. Much love to you, Viper MB. We got to find a birthday play for Viper MB. Now, I'm not going to call it a birthday play because that's what my partner, Lodos Loshak, the legend Lodos Loshak, made so special. But I will give you my best bet. My best bet on the card. There's Reese, Gonzalo, Rye Kate, Matt Randall in the house, Juan Ruiz, Cole Leone. Oh, it's a puck line, Reese. I went -1.5. The Ducks are trash. The Ducks are trash, man. And the Panthers are so good. And I'm still afraid to bet futures on them because the Eastern Conference is so good. Western Conference is trash. The Eastern Conference is head and shoulders better than the West right now. So I'm afraid to make a futures bet. Would I really legitimately be confident if the Panthers played the Bruins in the playoffs or the Capitals in the playoffs? I don't know if I would be. There's Ricky Bobby. Dog Bride. Nice to see Dog Bride back rolling with us. Mitch Bruner, Chip Plylar, one for the money. Gabriel Hernandez, Walla Dos Shaft. Shaft was rolling with me last night. I love that. Thank you, Shaft. Jason Turgi, JF. And look, JF hits that Raps first half. You guys who had the balls to take the Raps last night, I'm so impressed. Jeff Joseph on the Leafs under tonight. Yes, with the Babcock firing. Very interesting. Naeem says, good look on the Caps under. Thank you, Naeem. Nilo says, why is no one on the Oilers today? I love them. I don't love them. I don't love the Oilers after beating the Sharks 5-3. I mean, take a good look at that Sharks spot when they beat them. They were up 3-1 after the first period, being outshot 18-9. Now, I know it's not all about shots, but right now they have the two best players on the planet. I can't believe I'm saying that Draisaitl is, I don't know. I mean, what, he's on pace for 160 points. And they have nothing else. It's very, very strange. Nick Allegretti says, man, been fading the Preds. I think it continues today. That game makes me very uncomfortable. Richard Lee, Silver Malco, Dale Robinson, Rondell Rick Barry, Jermel Wright, Raymond Reichart, Richie Rich, Angus Finley, RMK. My guys, we're here. Let's get after it. Let's get after it right now. So that's the plan. We're going to bring in Babano as soon as he's ready to go. And Yenny Toon says Jimmy hates the Oilers. Yes. And watching Draisaitl and McDavid, I'm getting flashbacks of the 80s Oilers coming to Vancouver and beating us 8-1 every night. I'm getting flashbacks of... Now, I mean, I'm not going to say that Draisaitl and McDavid are in the class with Gretzky. and Curry, but I'm getting these horrifying flashbacks. Well, let's get to work right now. We are calling Babano. He should be ready shortly. He did just do the hockey show too, right? The hockey show. So he should be around shortly. Maybe just grabbing a coffee. Can you put up my NHL record, please? Moving in the right direction. And let's take a look at it. Can you full screen it for me so I can get a good look at it? Very, very close back to double-digit units. There's David Stanton in the house. Paulo Marquez. I was thinking about that spot as well, and we will ask Babano about it, the over in Florida. I find this very difficult. Chip Plyler says Ian is salivating on this NHL card. I'm actually pensive, nervous with it. There's the Don. There's Eric Nisbet back in the Colts plus 3.5 and the under 45.5. And Babano is ready to rock. Let's bring him in right now and cap this NHL card together. Big 13 games. And after we cap the NHL card together, Babano's going to give us a Grey Cup look. He's going to talk NFL, NCAA football. Then we're going to bring on Teddy Covers. We're going to start with either a Thursday Nighter or NBA, but we're going to hammer them both. And then move into NCAA football. Everything will be covered except NCAA basketball, which we will do all late show long. All right, my guy in the house representing Steeltown, Hamilton, Ontario, Babano, Ian Cameron. Thank you for joining us Thursday morning. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing great, Jimmy. Of course I'm doing great. It's Grey Cup week. My team's in the big game. I'm excited about it. I'm looking forward to Sunday. I can't get here soon enough. My Ticats bringing the Grey Cup back to the Hammer. I fully believe it's going to happen.
It certainly feels like it's going to happen. And we are going to talk about that. But let's first break down this 13-game NHL card. And let's get it started. We're going to roll through it here with Babano. I'm excited about this. Why bring him on 20 minutes into the show? We can have him on right now. We're going to start with Sabres, Bruins, Babano. Bruins opening up at minus 212. Actually, let me make sure this isn't 5 times. I'd rather move back to Pinnacle. Okay, good. It's Pinnacle. Bruins opening up at minus 212. Now they're minus 226. This total opened up at over 5.5. Minus 117. It's come back 4 cents. So my first instinct, and I stopped myself, was the over. I stopped myself because there's only one player playing for the Buffalo Sabres right now, and that's Jack Eichel. Not only is he the only one scoring, but he tried to fight Joel Eriksson Ek. He's doing whatever he can to get the Sabres out of this funk. 8 of their last 9 games have lost, coming off a 4-1 loss at home to the Wild on Tuesday. They're moving Jimmy Vesey up with Eichel and Reinhart. Eichel's the only... Where's Skinner? Is he back to his figure skating days? Boston returning home after beating the Devils in Jersey 5-1 Tuesday, but they haven't looked that good. That's just their second win over a 7-game stretch, although 5 of the losses have come in shootouts. Patrice Bergeron is expected back. Torrey Krug is not expected back. Sabres, Bruins, Babano, you have an angle here?
No, I'm not backing Buffalo. I'm not on this game at all, actually. I can't back Buffalo right now. The fact that he's throwing a guy that hasn't scored up on the top line tells you all you need to know about how Ralph Kruger's just throwing shit at the wall, hoping it sticks at this point in time with this Buffalo team. They're just in that free fall, and I was hoping they would avoid this again. But here we are, 2 years in a row. They get off to a fine start to the season, and then the roof starts to cave in a little bit. You're right, the offense was awful. They're fanning on pucks. They're passing the puck too damn much. I watched that Minnesota game Tuesday night with the Sabres and Wild. Too much passing. They're guilty of overpassing. That tells me it's a team that doesn't have the confidence to finish off their scoring chances right now, and that is a problem at this point in time. You're going up now against a Boston team that I know they've had to battle their way through a bunch of injuries. Think of the guys that have been out as of late. You mentioned Bergeron had a recent injury, but they've been without Carson Kuhlman. Backus has been out. They've been without Torrey Krug now, one of their best defensemen for the last few games. And all the Bruins do is no excuses, find ways to win. They're like the Toronto Raptors in the NBA. No excuses. We got injuries. Who the hell cares? Nobody's going to feel sorry for us. We're just going to pick up our collective bootstraps and keep finding ways to win. That's what Boston's doing. You've got a mentally tough Boston team. You got a mentally fragile Buffalo team. I know it's a tantalizing price here because Buffalo does usually play Boston pretty tough, but I don't like anything I'm seeing out of this Sabres team right now. I'm passing on this one.
I am passing on this one at this point as well. Although that 5.5 it attracts me, but the Sabres just, I can't trust them. It's going to be a 4-1 Bruins score.
You look at it this way, Jimmy. You're scoring 1 goal against Minnesota at home. That's not a team I can trust over the total right now.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to Ducks, Panthers. I got in on the Panthers last night. I'm so high on this Panther squad. So high on them. I love that they're getting production from 4 lines right now. 5 different goal scorers last game in that 5-2 win over the Flyers. We were on them then. I'm going to be on them again. I don't like the Ducks. I was so happy they started out so strong so that we'd be able to fade them. That line of Barkov, Huberdeau, and Dadonov is top 3 or 4 in the NHL. Ducks have lost 6 of their past 7. Silverberg leads them with goals at 9. Getzlaf 15 points. Getzlaf's not the same guy he was. Getzlaf is a second-line centerman on a great hockey team. If he's a first-line centerman at this age, you are in trouble. Panthers 4-1-0 last 5. Huberdeau, Dadonov, Barkov are monsters right now. This will close a 4-game homestand for the Panthers. I got him -1.5 at +140. If you wanted that right now, it would cost Panthers would be, you can get +137. You can get +137, so not a big change there. What's your move on Ducks Panthers?
Yeah, I don't argue the Florida play. I think they'll score in bunches tonight against this Anaheim team. Anaheim's fallen off defensively big time. They miss Hampus Lindholm. They miss Josh Manson. I mean, those are defensemen that aren't going to move the needle in the betting markets in terms of an adjustment, power rating-wise, price-wise on this Anaheim team. But, boy, do they make an impact on the ice for this team. And not having them on the ice has impacted this Anaheim team. They're not defending as well. Their penalty kill has been awful in recent games. That is a potentially lethal problem for them tonight against Florida, who have been scoring goals in bunches, scoring goals for fun. Their power play scored, I believe, in 9 of the last 10 games. You look at Anaheim, they've given up at least a power play goal in the majority of their recent games. It just hasn't been very good for this team. Sloppy play in front of John. I know John Gibson hasn't been at his best, hasn't been razor sharp himself, but I think a lot of it is the defense in front of him has been very lackluster at best for this Anaheim team. It's a very big problem. Both of these teams, by the way, trending over the total. And I mentioned this on my NHL Play of the Day video earlier with Adam. Anaheim 5-1 to the over their last 6. Florida's gone over the total in 5 straight. That's the way I'm looking in this game. Over 6.5 here in this one. Anaheim's been able to score at times, but their defensive play being bad is not the right opponent to be struggling defensively right now, facing Florida the way they've been going. I mean, Alexander Barkov, we were a little bit concerned, with the way he started his season offensively. But boy, last 9 games, how about 7 goals and 7 assists? Unbelievable. He's just been, the captain is leading by example right now for Florida. Huberdeau's been producing, Dadonov. I mean, there's so many game breakers for Florida. I think people don't realize how good of a team this is offensively. This is a really, really good offensive team. For Joel Quenneville's team to go where they want to go, it's going to come down to their defensive play, and I'm still not sold on their blue line. And they're going to need Sergei Bobrovsky to stand on his head a few times. He's going to have to, and he's shown, at least in the last couple games, more of a sign of doing that. But I think he's going to have to, because I don't think this is a very good blue line defensively. I don't think they're adept at being good body position guys, being guys that can be sturdy. I don't think they block as many shots as they should be. There's a lot of holes and flaws with this team defensively, but I absolutely love this team at the offensive end of the ice, and I think you'll see that tonight against an Anaheim team that's struggling to keep the puck out of their net. Again, Anaheim's gone over 5 of the last 6. Florida's gone over in 5 straight. I'm on the over here, 6.5, and I wouldn't talk you out of that Florida puck line play. Anaheim's not trending in the right direction right now. Florida is. Florida, the hot team, I could only consider back in the Panthers tonight.
Yeah, I love that breakdown. Gibson, 913 save percentage. The Ducks have a 79.2% penalty kill, which will get hurt by this Panthers 25.8% power play. Ducks only hitting 10.2% on their own power play. And Panthers penalty killing is improving. And as you said, Bob has looked better. He hasn't allowed a goal in the last 2 third periods, and he's stepping up. So I'm on the Panthers -1.5 +140, and I love it. Let's move on to Penguins Islanders. You were correct in betting the Islanders in this the first set of the home and home in Pittsburgh in that 5-4 overtime win. I was very interested to read that this Islanders team is the first team in NHL history to win back-to-back games in which it trailed by multiple goals with 7 minutes left in the third period. I was surprised that no team had ever done that before. Islanders have a chance to extend the point streak to a team record 16 games. New York trailed the Islanders 3-0 Saturday, came back and won, and they did a similar situation against the Pens. Twice they were down by 2 goals, and they came back. Pens have lost 3 of 4. They haven't looked good. They did beat the Leafs 6-1 Saturday in Toronto, but I don't know how much that means right now. Pens power play is dropping without Crosby, but their penalty kill is very strong, 89.8% penalty killing. These teams dislike each other very, very, very much. And the Islanders at minus 135 is appealing. I was on the Islanders when they lost after leading 3-0, and the Pens coming back in that third period 2 times ago when they met. I didn't bet them when it was your best bet a couple days ago. And I know these teams hate each other, and I'm a little uncomfortable. The games you would think would be going towards the under. They've all been going over. And I've not made a move here yet. Penguins, Islanders, Babano.
It's an Islanders or pass game. I mean, I'm not stepping in front of this team. I mean, you just see what they're doing. They're finding ways to win. Even the games they don't play their best. Even the games where defensively they're out of sorts. I mean, and that was the other night against Pittsburgh. That was not the shutdown, lockdown, New York Islander defense that we're used to seeing under Barry Trotz. But when you're confident, when you believe in your team, and you believe you can find ways to win every single night, and that's what teams develop, that kind of persona when you're going through a prolonged win streak like this. That's why you find ways to win if you're the New York Islanders. You just believe you can win every night, and even when you're down 2 goals in the third period, like they were against Pittsburgh the other night, you never believe you're out of a hockey game. Sure enough, they get a 4-3 goal. They tie it up with the extra attacker, and then they win with Brock Nelson's goal in overtime. Brock Nelson, by the way, has been picked up his offensive game, and that's why this Islanders team is very dangerous right now, Jimmy, because we know they can defend. We know that's going to be their primary way of winning games. What could they get offensively other than Barzal? And we're starting to see guys other than Barzal really step up offensively and chip in and produce for this team. Brock Nelson, one of those guys. How about Anthony Beauvillier, who scored 5 goals in his last 3 games? Brassard's really picked up his offensive game recently. So the Islanders are getting contributions from more than just a couple of guys. And if they can just get that somewhat regularly, it's going to be a dangerous team because, again, defensively, Barry Trotz has made this team one of the better defensive teams in the 2 years he's been here on the job with this Islanders team. You know, I'm not taking anything away from Pittsburgh. They've been solid with all the guys that they've had to deal with missing in this lineup, Crosby, Hornquist, and Letang. And to see them competing every night, have a chance to win every night, you know, again, they had the Islanders pretty much dead in that game, and Islanders came back. But I think that's more New York coming back than Pittsburgh letting the game slip away. The effort's been there. I'm impressed with the fact you're getting guys like your depth guys that they've called up, Jimmy, producing for this team. Blandisi, Zach Aston-Reese, Dominic Cahoon, Teddy Bluger. I mean, these are depth forwards that are making a difference for the Penguins. And I didn't think these guys, when they were I didn't think they had the depth they used to have because Jim Rutherford's made some dubious trades. He's traded away some prospects. He's traded away some picks that I don't think he should have. I was wondering, did this team have the depth to replace some of these guys? But I got to give them credit. The Blugers of the world, Aston Reese, Blandisi, guys like this, stepped up for the Penguins. So kudos to them. That being said, it's Islanders or pass for me, Jimmy. This team's playing too well, and I know the price has risen on this game, but I'm not looking to step in front of New York right now. No way.
But why is this line not minus 150? Why is it minus 133 to minus 135? This is an Islanders team that's 14-0-1 their last 15 going up against Penguins team that's missing their best defenseman and their best forward. And why is it not minus 150?
Maybe the short turnaround of revenge spot for Pittsburgh is why. I don't. To me, that number was way too short when it opened. You know, with the New York Islanders on the 15-game point streak that they are, for them to be minus 130 at home, where they actually have they've always been pretty good at home the last couple of years, although they've been really good on the road too this year. That was surprising to me. You know, I grabbed minus 130. A little bit. It's, again, not best bet material, but at that price, I said, you know, the Islanders are a ride team right now, and now it's starting to go up a bit. It got as high as minus 145 or 47. I saw it a couple spots, Jimmy, right before the show started, and then it's dropped down. It plummeted a bit, 10 cents with Pittsburgh money coming in the last 5-10 minutes. So there's a good tug of war going on here. Islander money and Pittsburgh money is sort of going back and forth, but maybe people see Pittsburgh losing the way they did. It's kind of why I like the Islanders the other night, Jimmy. Jimmy, because they blew the lead to Pittsburgh, and I knew that was the one team that beat them during this 15-game run that they've been on. They'd be amped up for that game. Maybe people feel the shoes on the other foot tonight. Pittsburgh's amped up after coughing up the third-period lead, but New York, to me, is still the better and healthier team right now. I still like the Islanders even at the current price, definitely at the current price.
I don't know.
I know what you're saying, though. You think it's a little fishy. It's a little suspect what's going on here, yeah.
Totally. Yes, I'm just going to leave an L beside the Islanders right now for a lean. Let's move over to Flyers, Hurricanes. Interesting matchup here. I love the way Vigneault's got these forwards to be responsible defensively, but now you're not getting scoring from Voracek and Giroux. Konechny leading the way for these Flyers. Philadelphia, Carolina opening up a minus 167. There's been a 10-cent move to the Flyers. This total at 6.5 is slightly juiced to the under. Expecting Hart and Mrazek. Vigneault's a good coach, and this is not a bad hockey team, but they've not looked good on the road. 4-6-1 on the road. And the Hurricanes swept, this is another crazy stat, swept a road trip of 3 or more games for the first time in franchise history. They beat Buffalo, Minnesota, and Chicago, and that's a huge celebration. Svechnikov I have in the hockey pool. He's making me look very good. We got to wait and make sure that Dougie Hamilton will be in the lineup. He left the game at Chicago and then came back. Flyers beat Carolina 4-1 on November 5th. Philadelphia coming off that bad loss in Florida. Flyers are winless in their past 4 games, all against Eastern Conference competition. I've yet to make a move here, and I do not think the Flyers are going to be an over-trending team this year. Babano, Flyers, Hurricanes.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at their recent games, other than the game against Florida the other night, and Florida's pulling every team to a game that goes over the total right now. Other than that one game for Philly against Florida, they have been trending under. They have been playing sturdier defensively. They have been playing in some lower scoring games. And, you know, Carter Hart had one of his worst games. It took one of Carter Hart's worst games of the season as well for that game to go over the total the other night against Florida. He wasn't very sharp in net, and he had been really good up till in recent games prior to that. He has a chance to bounce back. I'm kind of interested in Philadelphia here at the plus price. Off that game against Florida, they weren't happy with their game. They've proven to be a team that's capable of bouncing back. I know Carolina's going for their 5th straight win in a row, and they're playing much better in recent games. They went through a little funk, but they've picked it up. They're starting to score goals again. Mrazek has been really, really good in net. You talked about Svechnikov being fantastic for them, no question. Flyers got a boost from Morgan Frost in his last game. He has scored in his NHL debut, and of course he's the son of Andy Frost, the guy that was the Leaf PA announcer for years. Shouldn't have been fired, but one of many mistakes the Leafs have made. That's another story. But yeah, we'll see if Dougie Hamilton's in the game tonight for the Carolina Hurricanes. Obviously, he blocked a shot last game. That's left his status in doubt. Personally, I like the spot for Philly. It's a Philly spot. They didn't play well against Florida. They weren't happy about not playing well in that game. Philly did beat Carolina 4-1 a couple of weeks ago at home against Carolina. So definitely a Flyers team that, you know, even though they've lost 4 in a row, I get the sense this could be circle the wagons time for Alain Vigneault's team. I think Philadelphia plus the price is worth a look.
Yeah, I'm going to stay away from Philly, but I agree the spot works for them. Okay, let's move on to Red Wings Jackets here. Detroit, Columbus. Columbus opening up at minus 177, now down to minus 171 at Pinnacle, a 6-cent move towards Detroit. This total at 6 was minus 107 either way. It's been a 6-cent move towards the under. I'm not sure if Bernier or Howard will be in goal. Neither has looked good. Either has Corpusalo, really. Jackets 5-2 win over Montreal on Tuesday. Both teams have bad penalty killing, and that's going to destroy you in today's NHL. And below average power play at 15%. Jackets win 5-2 over Montreal. That's 5 goals, most they scored all season long. These are the 2 lowest scoring teams in the National Hockey League at 2.5 goals per game for the Jackets, 2.35 for the Red Wings. Pierre-Luc Dubois, a good player. He's going to be a top flight first line centerman soon. Not yet. Wings coming off 4-3 home loss to Ottawa. 3 second period goals. They can't be trusted, and now they're decimated with injuries. So, and these are, you know, important guys. They're in for defense. They don't have Green, DeKaiser, or Trevor Daley. Then they lose Darren Helm, a very defensively responsible forward. I'm not going to take the Red Wings, but I can't take Columbus at this big of a favorite line. How are you handling Detroit Columbus?
Yeah, all of a sudden break up the Jackets. You know, they've won 2 in a row. They've started to get some offense. They're trying to get 3 wins tonight in a row for the first time all season. John Tortorella said they're simplifying their offensive game, so we'll see if that can carry over. And let's give Detroit credit. You know, they had a brutal stretch. They started to play better. They got reeled off some wins, and they're fighting the good fight. The effort has been pretty solid of late, but the injuries, you touched on them briefly. They are catching up to this team. I mean, big time. I mean, you look at the guys that are out on the blue line. Mike Green's out. Danny DeKeyser's out. Trevor Daly's out on the blue line. That's 3 regulars of your top 6 D-men that are out due to injury. Now you're worried that Darren Helm, who's one of a great two-way player, very valuable two-way player for Jeff Blashill, he's day-to-day, probably not going to suit up tonight in this game either for the Red Wings. So all of a sudden the injuries are mounting at an alarming rate, and it's taking its toll. They've lost, 4 in a row coming into this game tonight, the Red Wings, after that great run that they had. 4-3 loss at home to Ottawa. That's not a good sign. Even though Ottawa's actually played pretty well lately. They actually won. I shouldn't say that. Ottawa's played pretty tough, pretty well lately in the majority of their games. You got to give DJ Smith credit. A great effort, great work ethic every night, that Ottawa team. So it's really not all that big of a shame for Detroit to lose to Ottawa the other night. I'm kind of with you in this game. There's no way I could lay a price like this with a team as flaky and sketchy and erratic as the Columbus Blue Jackets. But Detroit's too decimated and in bad form. And that combo is not going to have me interested in the Red Wings. And the total is, one of those coin flips. Could slip over, could stay under. Neither would shock me. So it's a pass.
It's a pass for me, too. We're going to have to speed up a little bit because I do want to talk football with you before Teddy comes. Ronnie Christie, 7-5 Columbus last meeting between these two. He likes the over 6. It's amazing. The 2 lowest scoring teams in the NHL, and there's a 6. And not a 5.5, peculiar. And I could see why somebody might try to sneak over it. I'm not going to be one of those guys. Let's move on to Calgary, St. Louis. This total at 5.5 at -114, now -119. St. Louis opened at -154 favorites and a move towards the Flames. Now the Blues at -137. Strange that there would be a 17-cent move towards the Flames. Riddick expected in goal 2.72 goals against average, .913 save percentage. Johnny Hockey doing nothing at all. -10 the last 5 games. It just feels like this is still the playoffs from last year. It just hasn't changed. This team looked so good in the regular season, got destroyed in the playoffs, and now they're a mess. Bill Peters is about to follow Babcock out to pasture if this keeps happening. Flames have lost 5 straight, been outscored 15-3 in their last 4 games, was a 167-minute scoreless streak. Backlund has 4 points in 14 games. They've trailed in 16 of their 24 games. They've allowed the first goal in 7 straight games. No Brody, no Hamonic, no Bennett, and I like Bennett. I think they need Bennett. Guys like Bennett and Kachuk are gamers. Blues have earned points in 10 of their last 11. That was an impressive win over the Lightning, 3-1 on Tuesday night. Now they lose Sammy Blaze too. So they signed Troy Brouwer to take his spot on the roster. This Blues team is going to start losing. And when they do, I'm going to make money off of it. But I don't know if I could do that here this evening. Flames, Blues, Babano.
Yeah, there's money coming in every game on Calgary, and none of it's mine. And I know Teddy bemoans this. He talks about teams that just take money every game for no reason or for inexplicable reasons. Calgary's that team in the NHL. Every game, it seems recently, money's coming in on the Flames. I don't get it. There's nothing to like right now with this team. It's a severely overvalued team. Somewhat got exposed in the playoffs for being soft, for being easy to play against when Colorado just absolutely embarrassed them and humbled them in the first round last year. And I think that mental fragility and that psyche is carried over to this year, especially with the top players who got neutered by Colorado. Neutered in that first round last year. Monahan, Gaudreau, you talked about them all. You couldn't find them with a telescope on the ice in the playoffs last year, and you can't find them with a telescope on the ice right now this season. Defensively, they're hit or miss. They're not scoring any sort of goals right now. The offense is dried up. They got shut out in back-to-back games over the weekend. They had to fall behind 2-0 against Colorado the other night before they finally got on the scoreboard with a goal and broke what was it, 190-minute, 190-minute shutout streak? Absolutely awful stuff from Calgary. I don't want to lay -140 with St. Louis either. They were kind of fortunate to get the win against Tampa Bay. They're not in the greatest of form either, so not involved, but it would be St. Louis or nothing. I can't do anything, don't want anything to do with Calgary right now.
Richie Rich, Calgary St. Louis over spot here, says Calgary can score on anybody. When they start scoring, yeah, they're good, but they're very quiet. It's not like you're going to go get an easy game against this Blues team that's being beaten up, so they're going to play very tight and conservative. Trency White in the house, Vaughn Burgess rolling with us, Polo this, Polo that, the bookie bandit. Okay, let's keep rolling. Canucks, Predators. I was all over the Stars 2 nights ago. The Canucks aren't going to make the playoffs. The Canucks are an easy team to play against. The only change is we have a power play for the first time in years, thanks to Quinn Hughes and Pettersson. That's the only thing that's changed with this Canucks team. They're always going to be easy to play. For some reason, our brass does not have a healthy respect for a big, tough guy. And we need space because Besser gets beaten up and Pettersson gets beaten up. And I'm tired of watching the Canucks get pushed around. Year after year after year after year, they get bullied. And the fact that they started the year winning games, I knew, wow, I'm going to make so much money fading this team. But do you trust the Predators? Predators lost 5 straight. Canucks have lost 3 straight. Canucks were just embarrassed in Dallas. And you know, they're a must fade for me, but after getting embarrassed, I don't know if I can do it here. In November, the Predators are 1-5-1. They're going to get hot. Their power play is 2 for 13 over the past 5 games. Rene's been unbelievably bad of late, just beyond comprehension bad. They're coming off a 2-1 home loss against Winnipeg, and it was UC was in goal, not Rene. Vancouver's only win in the past 8 games came against these Predators. What a mess this game is. And I have no move on it at this point. Nashville opening up a minus 183. There's been a 15-cent move to Vancouver. The total's at 6. Canucks Predators, Babano.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It's an impossible game. It's not one I'm involved with. You say you talk about the Canucks brass, and you want to put yourself to sleep, and you want to snore. You want something that's a snore fest waiting to happen. Listen to Jim Benning when he's talking to the media. What a complete bore. I think one of the things we're doing here with the oh my God, the guy will put you to sleep in a second. Holy goodness! You need to catch up on some Z's. Listen to Jim Benning talk for a couple of minutes. Nevertheless, I mean, both teams are absolutely brutal right now. You mentioned Rene, almost a 5 goals against. 821 save percentage his last 5 starts. Been absolutely hideous. It's pick your poison. Nashville can't get out of their own. Vancouver can't get out of their own. Guess which team.
Road. And you know, there was questions whether the team was going to turn on the Wild. They opened up at minus 111. They're now minus 114. This is a 6, and I'm never going to bet the Avalanche. They're playing well. Look, McKinnon, I was asked yesterday, who do I think is the most valuable player in the NHL so far this year? And I would say it's McKinnon. What he's done without Rantanen and Landeskog is extremely impressive, and he just keeps rolling. But they're just losing. They didn't have a ton of depth before. Sakic did fix that in the offseason, but now Colin Wilson out, Tyson Jost out, Matt Calvert out, Grubauer is back. The Avalanche have stepped up. They're winning games right now. Minnesota feels better about themselves. I got nothing here. I mean, do we want to make a move on the under? The Avalanche aren't really scoring. Avalanche Wild, Babano.
I'm on Colorado here. This price is an absolute insult to Colorado. You're an underdog to Minnesota? Really? What's Minnesota done to get everybody excited? You beat a down-and-out Buffalo team 4-1 the other night? No, this is wrong price. I like Colorado here. Even with the injuries. I know they're banged up, but they've still found ways to win. You give them credit. They beat Vancouver. They beat Calgary. Okay, they're struggling, those 2 teams. It's not like Minnesota's all a whole lot better. I know they've won a couple of games lately, but they have not stepped up in class against better teams on their schedule. I know there's no Jost, Calvert, Wilson, Rantanen, and Landeskog. Let's give Jared Bednar a little tip of the cap, too, from a coaching standpoint. He decides to put McKinnon, Burakovsky, and Donskoy together as his top line, and all they've done is produce. They've been absolutely fantastic. It's to the point where it's like Rantanen and Landeskog, who? I'm being funny when I say that. Obviously, they missed them, but I'm just saying the top line has been pretty good even without those guys. So give Jared Bednar credit. He's being creative with his line combinations. They're working. Kadri with Nichushkin and Comfort's been solid. Nieto, Belmar just got back, and boy, they missed Belmar, one of the better two-way guy forwards in the league. Vegas was great there during his time with the Golden Knights. Can't say enough about Cale Makar. Graves, Girard, Zadorov, Cole's healthy and playing well. This is just a better hockey team, and now they've got Grubauer back in net. This is an insult to Colorado, this price. I like them at the plus price.
I'm never going to be backing this Avalanche team with all the injuries right now. I can understand you liking the price here. I'm not going to be backing them at all. Okay, let's keep rolling. Lightning, Blackhawks. I came close to making a move on the Lightning, and then I looked at a minus 150 road favorite, and you just don't succeed in NHL. Claudio S. says, Jimmy, who do you like in NHL? Sounds like you're passing on most of these games. Look, you got to take what the league gives you. That's imperative. And usually I have a ton of shots being fired, and I don't on this card, and that just happens sometimes. Lightning Blackhawks. After 18 games, Babano, the Lightning's leading scorer is Stamkos with 7. 7. Kucherov has 18 points in 18 games after 128 last year. Blackhawks 13.8% power play. They've had a bad power play. We're on a second year of a bad power play, and it doesn't make sense to me. You guys, sorry about the delay with our voice. It's a YouTube thing. It's not on us, and we apologize for that. Patrick Kane rolling right now. 19 points during a 10-game streak. Chicago's won 4 of its past 5. I like Lehner in goal, but Crawford's starting to step up. I don't know what to do. I don't want to sit here with minus 150 road favorites in my pocket. And the total at 6.5, I find interesting. Lightning Blackhawks, Babano.
Oh, you can't lay it with. I can't lay it with Tampa Bay at minus 150 on the road. I mean, it's 1 step forward, 2 steps back. They won 3 in a row, although 2 were against Buffalo. You have to keep that in mind. And then they dropped 2 in a row against Winnipeg and St. Louis. So it's been a problem for the Tampa Bay Lightning. They just can't get on any sort of run. You mentioned it. The offensive prowess of this team's disappeared a little bit this year, but really it's their defensive play. Penalty kill's been lousy. They're giving up way too many. If you're a Corsi or an analytic guy and you look at teams that have given up the most high-danger scoring chances, Tampa Bay's right up there near the top in terms of teams that have yielded the most high-danger scoring chances. That's a problem. That's not a team with the defensive play of a minus 150 favorite right now on the road. It would be Chicago or nothing, and I probably will bet Chicago in some form here, just at this price. I mean, they're playing better. I know they lost to Carolina the other night, but Kirby Dach, the 3rd overall picks, come in and been a big boost to this team offensively. Both goalies are in pretty solid form right now, Crawford and Leonard. Even Crawford's played a lot better in his recent games, so I don't mind who starts for Chicago tonight, Leonard or Crawford. I think a look to Chicago, some kind of bet is something I'll be doing.
Well, I'm looking at my card right now, and it only has Panthers minus 1.5 on it, and I'm going to add Dallas minus 1.5 on it as well. Winnipeg playing out of their minds right now. Hellebuck, spectacular. I said when Ben scored that overtime goal, I was like, look out. I hate Jamie Benn, but he was on a horrible run. 1 goal through 20 games. Now he scored 3 in the last 2 games. And you see who's playing with Seguin and Ben. Justin Dowling, 29-year-old journeyman, 34 NHL games over 3 seasons under his belt. But sometimes you need a spark like that, and that's what they're getting. Look, the Jets are playing incredible. 5 straight road wins, 4-1-0 against Central Division opponents. I tried to go up against them with Nashville. That was a mistake. But I'm going to go up against them again here with the Stars. I just don't know if I'm going to take the minus 1 or the minus 1.5. I will make that decision after you break down this spot, Jets Stars.
Yeah, they go as Connor Hellebuck goes. Connor Hellebuck struggles. They don't win. Connor Hellebuck's amazing like he has been the last 2 games against Tampa and Nashville. They win. I mean, that's really what it's been for Winnipeg. He's been much better lately. Nikolai Ehlers is starting to score. Kyle Connor. Again, players are playing well for this Jets team, and that's why they've won the last 2 games. But, yeah, I mean, I know the Jets are playing better. They've been really good on the road. Give Paul Maurice credit. This young defense, we talked about how they were gutted on the blue line after last year with Byfuglien gone, with Trouba gone, with Myers gone, with injuries on the blue line to start the season as well. And yet this blue line's gotten better and better at defending in their own zone. Their penalty kills improved much better. All that being said, Jimmy, I'm with you. There's no way I'm stepping in front of Dallas. 11-2. This was my Stanley Cup pick at the beginning of the season to at least be in the Stanley Cup final, win the Western Conference. They made me look bad for a month straight to begin the season. Now they're starting to make me look good again, this Dallas team. I'm not going against them. So if you like Dallas, I wish you the best of luck. I'm not stepping in their way right now.
I'm going to jump on Dallas. And I agree. This is the best team in the Western Conference right now. I'm going to jump on Dallas minus 1.5. So at this point, I've only got 2 looks, but they're both plus lines. One of them cashes, Stars and Panthers. Now, I was on them both minus 1 2 nights ago. This time I'm going to take the minus 1.5 here on both of them. And I am getting plus 160 at Heritage, minus 1.5 at plus 160 at Heritage. Also, I wonder if this is a spot where we try to get under the total. Hellebuck playing out of his mind. And I don't see Winnipeg putting up much offense here, but it's a 5.5 juice to the under, and I'll stay off at this point. We got to speed up because I need to talk football with you as well. Leafs, Coyotes, man, Babcock showing the door. What a mess this has become. They're without Marner, Kerfoot, and Moore. Sheldon Keefe comes up from the Marlies. I'm not sold on the move firing Babcock, but it's not working, and you need to do something. Kemper is spectacular for these Coyotes. They've won 4 of their past 5, 2 consecutive shutouts. They're playing very good hockey. Let's go to money lines and sides here very quickly. There won't be any more NHL done on the show for the rest of the day, so we're hammering it now, to have it locked and loaded. This spot here for the Leafs, Arizona opening up at -124, and the money came in on the Leafs, as always happens when there's a new coach. It's come back on Arizona, but the Leafs were favorites across the board 2 hours ago. They're not right now. How are you handling Toronto, Arizona with a pick'em basically and the total at 6?
Nobody's been liking Arizona more than me the last 2 years because I've backed them a lot. I thought they had a chance to make the playoffs as a surprise playoff team last year, and they just fell short after that great second half run. And I still believe that this year they're a team that's capable of making the playoffs as well, certainly the way they've played. But I will be on Toronto tonight. It's not going to be something that's best bet, but I'm going to bet Toronto here. It's the first game with the new coach. It's usually you get that uptick, you get that spike in effort, intensity, focus, attention to detail that Brendan Shanahan was talking about. I think you're going to see that tonight. And everybody revered Sheldon Keefe down with the Marlies, that he's a player's coach. He's got an open door policy, that he's really gets the message across to his players quite well. A lot of the players on this Leaf roster right now were Marlies under Sheldon Keefe prior to getting the call up to Toronto, so it's not the big adjustment that you would think. I think you get that first game. I think they're a bet-on team immediately. I think the change had to happen, Jimmy. The message was being tuned out. This team never got better defensively. Babcock kept talking about it. No actions were being taken on the ice. Same bad, horrendous defensive mistakes being made. I think Keefe cleans that up. Keefe's talking about getting to the tough areas of the ice, starting to score some goals from 8 feet in front of the net. Get to the net, get to the blue paint, score goals that way, 5-man attack instead of just puck possession. That's what Mike Babcock always wanted. This is going to look like a different team. I think this is going to spark them a little bit. Maybe they're just too far gone with the mistakes and the bad defensive play that it matters. But I think an energy and uptick in attention to detail will be there with Sheldon Keefe at the helm. I think they're a bet-on team in the short term. Toronto started tonight, so we're going to try to ride this Leafs team a little bit, see if it works out starting tonight.
I'm not going to back the Leafs here. I understand the angle. I'm going to watch this spot. Let's move on to Sharks Golden Knights. We got to be quick because we got to talk NFL. Sharks Golden Knights here. Vegas coming in off 4-2 win over the Leafs, followed a 6-0 beatdown on the Flames. We know why they're not the same team, and that's because they're not getting the value that they got 2 years ago on these players. Most expensive second line in the NHL. I think Patches, who's having an okay year, and Stastny are broken hockey players who can't make it through 82 games. Then they're playing their first line, which they had for such a great deal. Now they're all getting 5+, Carlson at 6. Now you get nothing. You're getting no value on these players anymore, and they're just going to be a good hockey team. They're never going to be a great hockey team again. And these teams hate each other. And San Jose lost to the Oilers and outshot them badly. And that stopped a 6-game winning streak. This spot makes me uncomfortable. Vegas opening up at -176. They're now -169. I don't have a look on this game. Total at 6.5. Let's be tight here, Babano. Sharks Knights.
Yeah, I'm on the over. San Jose's been scoring. San Jose I don't trust defensively. And Vegas I don't trust defensively. They could have lost against Toronto the other night. Marc-Andre Fleury was heroic in the third period. They were all over Vegas. Vegas couldn't clear pucks out of their own zone half the time. They got hemmed in multiple times. And they have not played strong defensive play other than shutting out a lifeless, non-existent Calgary offense. That's the only time Vegas has looked good defensively the last 2 weeks. I see goals in bunches tonight. It's usually an open affair when the Sharks play the Knights. Over 6.5 for me.
I agree, but this isn't a Knights team of old. I almost took the over against the Leafs and was like, you know what? I don't know. Dom Ricci loving that look, though. Loving that look. Von Polo on Sharks -1.5 and the over. And, okay, let's keep rolling. Looking at Eddie Oilers looks as well on this card. Okay, I want to take the under in the Oilers-Kings game at 6. Koskinen playing very well. I expect him to be in net tonight. The Kings are a big, slow team. So, yeah, Draisaitl, what, he's on 160-point pace. McDavid and Draisaitl are going to find spots where they can take advantage. But Doughty's going to be on the ice. Every time they're on the ice, they know exactly what to do. The Kings have actually won 4 straight at home, and it's very simple. They have to watch and shadow Draisaitl and McDavid all over the ice all game long and play defensively. And I'm getting a 6 here. I'm thinking of going under it. What do you think of this Oilers-Kings under it, and are you making a move on this game?
I could only take Edmonton to the better of these two teams, but LA has won 3 of 4 overall, 4 in a row at home at Staples Center, and they have played better. I'm hoping the price drops a bit, -110 or so. I'm interested in Edmonton. -125, not so much. Probably just a lean for me. I don't talk you out of the under. Edmonton is trying to play better defensively in front of Tippett. I was on the over against San Jose, but I figured they'd break out a little bit offensively that night after losing against Dallas. This is not an over spot to me. I don't argue with your under, and I would lean Edmonton, but I'm hoping for a better price.
Good. RMK scared me because he said over here, but he meant on the Vegas game. So that's okay. I'm going to make a move here. This is my 3rd spot on the card. Look, only 3 spots. There has been a 6-cent move towards the under. I'm going to take the under. I'm getting a plus line at BetOnline. Under 6 at +102. So those are my 3 looks, man. I wish I had more, but those are my 3 looks. I'm on the under 6 in LA, Edmonton, and I'm on the Panthers -1.5 at +140, the Dallas Stars -1.5 at +160. Babano, could you review your NHL spots very quickly?
All right, NHL spots. Anaheim, Florida, over 6.5. Will be on Philadelphia at a plus price. Will be on Colorado +100. Probably will be on Chicago +130. Toronto -105. San Jose, Vegas over 6.5. That's what we're looking at.
Beautiful. Great job. Great job. That was a tough card, man. Tough card.
Big card.
Okay.
13 games. Yep.
Babano, quickly. The Grey Cup coming up this weekend. The holy grail of Canadian football being offered up, and your Ticats can win it and are the favorites here. But they're only 3.5-point favorites, or 3. It did open at 2. Are you surprised the Bombers are getting the love that they're getting? This total opened at 52. It's at 51.5 at some books. Grey Cup, Hamilton, Winnipeg. Babano, how are you hammering it?
The argument for Winnipeg is they've been phenomenal in the underdog role. 8-1 against the spread as underdogs this year. They've been a cash cow catching points. The argument for Winnipeg is they can match Hamilton's offense, defense, and special teams. They're right there. They're a complete football team in all 3 phases. Another argument for Winnipeg would be that they're played in the West Division, the better division top to bottom. But I know Hamilton played in the East Division, the weaker division, with Toronto was terrible, Ottawa was terrible, Montreal was okay, but they weren't phenomenal. But Hamilton is, you got to treat Hamilton like a West Division caliber team, because that's what they are. They've been the class of the CFL. They've been able to beat West Division teams like Winnipeg. They beat Winnipeg twice in both regular season meetings. They beat Calgary this season. They beat some of the better teams in the West Division. They showed they could go toe-to-toe and beat those teams. And to me, when you look at a team that went 16-3 regular season and playoffs combined this season like Hamilton did, when you're in the Grey Cup game, we've seen Calgary with a record like this. They're laying 7.5, maybe even more than a touchdown in the Grey Cup with a record like Hamilton's got. For some reason, Hamilton's only laying 3.5 in this game. I think there's value to the Hamilton side. I know I've been cashed a ton with Winnipeg in the underdog role. I probably wouldn't want to lay more than 4 with Hamilton. That would probably be my cutoff point. But I just look at Hamilton. They've been the class of the CFL all year. They've been able to beat Winnipeg twice. They have a great defense that's gotten pressure on every opposing quarterback. And as good as the Winnipeg offensive line has been, they have given up a couple sacks recently. Could be trouble against Hamilton's defense. Dane Evans answered the question, without the CFL experience, would he be ready to go in his first ever playoff start? He played great last week in the win against Edmonton. I think he answered those questions. I think this is Hamilton's Grey Cup to lose. I think they find a way to get it done. And I like the over in this game because I think both teams can score on defense and special teams. They've done it all year. They have great kick return games. They have defensive playmakers that can make big plays defensively, set up their offense on short fields. So I like the over in this game as well. I think Hamilton wins. And that's not a homer opinion. I just think they've been the close class of the CFL all year. They beat Winnipeg twice. They'll find a way.
I agree with that look. It was a mistake. Almac was imploring us to take the Ticats to win the Grey Cup before the conference final at plus 180, and that would have been a great ticket to have in my pocket. I don't know why I didn't do that. Okay, there we go. There is Babano's looks in CFL. Babano, we have a question from the Bookie Bandit. My favorite play on this card is, I guess I'm starting to lean towards the Stars -1.5, but I there's a reason why I put the Panthers in -1.5 last night. What's your favorite play on the NHL card, Babano?
The favorite play is the one I did on the Play of the Day video with Adam Booth. Anaheim, Florida, over 6.5, -105. I think you get goals from Florida. I think it's quite possible you at least get a couple from Anaheim, and that game gets over 6.5.
And Pie Guy bet the Ticats to win the Grey Cup at the beginning of the season. Yeah, I would go for a middle. I would take the Bombers plus 3.5, and I don't know, with the 20% of your cash there, or 20% of what you're going to win, something like that. Cover your bet and get some profit back and go for a middle. Is that how you would handle it, Babano?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely something to consider. I mean, Winnipeg, the one fear I've got in this game is Winnipeg's a damn good team too, and they've been amazing in the underdog role. I mean, again, when you go 8-1 against the spread as an underdog this season, that's phenomenal, and they're an underdog in this game. So it's very possible this is a 3-point game, and it's close, and it's down to the wire when it's all said and done. Winnipeg can win this game, there's no doubt, but I just think Hamilton's been the class, and I don't want to rip on Mike O'Shea. Mike O'Shea's a really good coach, done a good job, but Orlando to me is the premier coach in this league this year. He has had this team so well prepared, so disciplined. They don't take many foolish penalties. He's been amazing. There's a reason they made sure they locked up Orlando Steinauer as their head coach. He has done not just a good job with the injuries, with Masoli going down early in the season. He hasn't done just a good job. He has done a phenomenal job, incredible job, Orlando Steinauer. Can't say enough.
Let's move on to NFL very quickly here. We don't have a ton of time, but great breakdown and great stuff. Babano, Thursday nighter, do you have action on it tonight? What are your favorite looks on this NFL card? And very quickly, you guys, support Babano's NHL show. Please, everybody out there, all the low baggers, support it. He puts so much energy into our show on Thursdays, and what we can do is support his show as much as possible in return. Okay, Babano, NFL, you got a look on tonight's game?
Yeah, it's not a strong bet, but half unit on the Colts. I'm higher on the Colts than a lot of people. And I've been higher on the Colts all season long than virtually everybody. And Brissett's back, and you saw the difference he made in that offense in slaughtering Jacksonville last Sunday. T.Y. Hilton's going to play. And I saw Frank Reich coach circles around Bill O'Brien in the first meeting between these two teams in Indianapolis a few weeks ago, and I was on Indy that day as well. Coaching edge, they're a healthy team. I know Houston's coming off a bad, ugly blowout loss to Baltimore. They should be fired up, but there's no way I'm laying more than 3.5. And all the Colts have done, Jimmy, this year is cash tickets on the road and especially catching points, the exact role they're in tonight. I like Indy.
They certainly showed the Texans a ton in that game. And then we saw them the next 2 weeks have a very pedestrian offense because Reich really opened up the playbook in that spot. And now they're dealing with a ton of injuries. It's a very tricky game. I find it a very tricky game. Do you have a move on the total?
Over or pass? There was a game, the first meeting flew over the total. Brissett's back. Hilton's back. I actually do think the overs. I might add that, actually. Over 46 in this game. I think it's worth a look. I think you'll see points. I think the Houston defense is vulnerable against the run. Again, Watt's been banged up. The secondary, I don't trust them, especially against Hilton now with him back. They could struggle. And I think Houston will certainly can't be worse offensively than they were against Baltimore. I think they'll put up points. The Indy defense still gives up some plays and points at times. So I think the over is worth a look in this game.
And Eric Nisbet said Colts are a covering machine. CT Bay says Texans secondary injury is huge. What is your best looks on this NFL card, Babano?
The NFL card's going to be light for me this weekend. It's not a card where a ton of things stick out to me. I think I'm going to lay 2.5, 3 with Oakland against the Jets. That's kind of interesting to me. I like Tampa Bay. I kind of like the where's the game I was liking over the total here? I'm trying to see it here. Green Bay, San Francisco, Sunday nighter. Because I think San Francisco can run the football against Green Bay like a lot of teams have lately. And that's the key. I mean, Kyle Shanahan runs the ball a lot. And I think they'll be able to get big-time chunk plays running that football against Green Bay. I'm still waiting to see the injury situation. Remember, they've had so many pieces on that offense banged up and injured in recent weeks for San Francisco, but definitely interested in an over there. And maybe I'm too late to the party here on the Baltimore Ravens, Jimmy, but I laid 3 with the Ravens on the road against the Rams. What have the Rams done that's impressive? They shouldn't have covered against Chicago. If Chicago wasn't so bad offensively and Trubisky wasn't so bad and the play calling wasn't so bad and the special teams wasn't so inept, Chicago would have gotten the money against the Ravens on Sunday night, or against the Rams on Sunday Night Football. The Rams, to me, have not really beaten anybody of quality lately. Their step-up-in-class games have not gone well for them this year, and Baltimore looks like a team that is a force to be reckoned with right now. So I'm going to lay the short price on the road with the Ravens. Quickly, Jimmy, because I know Teddy's on the horizon, your college football, I'll throw out a couple there. I like the over with Penn State, Ohio State. Penn State's defense has sort of come apart in recent games. I think that continues here. We're going back to that Texas Longhorn underdog with Tom Herman. You better believe it. Once again, getting points against Baylor. I like Temple plus 10.5 against Cincinnati. I like Temple catching points. Cincinnati life or death to beat a bad South Florida team. Cincinnati not with the offense that I trust to win games by this kind of margin. So give me Temple plus the points in that game. That's interesting to me as well. And there's one more that early in the week that really stands out. I'm trying to find it here. Let's see. Damn if I can find it right now. I'm looking up and down. Syracuse. That's the one. Syracuse plus 10 against Louisville. Louisville got clinched bowl eligibility last week, okay? And I love what Louisville's done, and Scott Satterfield. Great turnaround. To get to a bowl game this year with the program in ruins coming off last year and the disaster that it was. Impressive job. But now we got a team coming off a big bowl-clinching win with a defense that I think is still suspect. Now, maybe Syracuse's win against Duke last week was more Duke just being a complete disaster right now. But they had the bye. They could have either tucked their tail between their legs and folded the tent and gone home, Dino Babers' team, or they could have shown some fight, or they could have shown some spirit coming out of the bye in the middle of a disappointing, big-time underachieving season. They showed fight. They showed effort. And I think they're catching a few too many points here, and I don't trust the spot for Louisville. So I think Syracuse gets inside that number.
I love it. There we go, and we'll go over those plays with Teddy Covers. Penn State over, Texas plus the points, Temple plus 10.5, Syracuse plus 10. Got that locked in. Yes, those are my 3 plays in NHL. You got to take what the league gives you. Babano, what a treat it is to have you rolling with us. Babano backing his Ticats in the Grey Cup, also liking the over there, and liking the Colts to cover tonight, and interested in the over as well. And we've already gone through his NHL looks. What a treat it is to roll with you, Babano. Giant card today. Thank you for all your insights and hard work. Follow this man on Twitter, @Babano. Please follow him. Babano, thank you for all your insights, and enjoy your Thursday, my friend. And enjoy the Grey Cup, and may your Hamilton Ticats win and celebrate with the giant parade.
Hey, Jimmy, before I go, it's Grey Cup week. My team's in it. We got to give you an Oski Wee Wee. Let's go. Oski Wee Wee. Oski Wawa. Holy Mackinac. Tigers. Eat 'em raw. Yeah. We're winning the Grey Cup this Sunday. Let's do it. Dane Evans, I believe. Simone Lawrence, I believe. Luke Tasker, I believe. Let's get it done.
Oh, how are we all not going to be cheering? How are we all not going to be cheering for the Ticats this weekend? Great job, Babano. Thank you so much for joining us. Oski Wee Wee in the house. Okay, we're going to go right from Ian Cameron, a.k.a. Babano, to Teddy Covers, coming to us live from Las Vegas. Teddy Covers, how are you doing on this Thursday morning?
He's laying with Hamilton? Laying? Oh, poor Ian. 3.5? I'm doing all right. I'm doing pretty good today, Jimmy. How about yourself?
I'm good. It was a nice 3-1 night in NBA, 1-0 night in NHL. I gave most of that back in college basketball, sadly. But that will happen. I'm excited about how we're seeing things in NHL, in NBA, and we haven't broke down these 2 games in NBA. I need to do that with you, but I want to talk more about the Thursday nighter off the top in NFL. This Texans-Colts game, a lot of moving parts, and we talked about it yesterday, and now we're getting more information. We're still waiting for T.Y. Hilton to be announced. Are you thinking of getting to the window tonight in this Texans-Colts divisional matchup?
I'm probably not going to get there, Jimmy. I mean, there's a chance. Current numbers, I'm not getting there. And I mean, there are a lot of factors in play in this game, a ton. But let's start with what happens to road teams over the back half of the season on Thursday night. Since 2016, I think we're talking like they're in the range of 20 to 25% ATS. All right, the road teams have consistently struggled later in the year on Thursday night football. You can understand why. As the fatigue factor kicks in, the turnaround with the travel is clearly a problem, and historically it's been a big problem for NFL teams. So it takes something special to put me on a road team at this stage of the campaign on Thursday night football. There might be something special here when we talk about the injuries to the Texans secondary and when we talk about what happened to Houston last week. All right, the offensive line got annihilated in the game against the Ravens. Worst game they played. And just as importantly, I don't know who's going to be in the secondary for Houston tonight. They could be missing as many as 5 guys from their 2 deep in terms of safeties and cornerbacks. That's a problem. And that makes me reluctant to lay with Houston. So, a big reluctance to lay with you. When you talk about that many injuries, that's a cluster injury problem in a place where you don't want a cluster injury problem when you're laying 3.5. So, and we have, this is a meaningful revenge spot. And I know it's divisional teams and all of that, but Colts beat the Texans last year to close out the regular season. They beat them in the playoffs last year. They beat them in the first meeting this year. Now Houston gets them at home, off the blowout loss with Indy, off probably, as good a game as they played all year. And you can make a strong case it's the Houston spot. So, all of these factors, back and forth, I'm not playing this game, Jimmy. There's a strong case, I think, to be made for both sides, and that's enough to keep me out. The total, I wouldn't talk anyone out of an over, given the Texans' injury concerns in the secondary. But, and there's a big but with that. I'm not trying to talk, again, I'm not going to talk you out of it, given the injuries, but when we talk about the offensive game plans for Thursday night football, they haven't been very good, and they're not going to be very good. And then we look at Houston's injury issues last week, and we look at the fact that the Texans, the first meeting, couldn't score touchdowns in the red zone. There are enough concerns to me about the over that this is one to watch, not one to bet. No action for me. And like I said, I'm not really that close to getting involved. That maybe if the markets move to 4, I'd look to Indy, but the markets aren't moving to 4, and I'm not that excited about Indy. So pass.
Yeah, interesting. It's an interesting game, and we're going to get more information as the day goes on about injuries, and I don't have a look on it either. There's the Thursday Nighter from Teddy Covers. Would you have any lean towards a total in this spot?
I really don't have a strong – I'm not playing an under with the injuries in the Texans secondary. I'm not going to do it. So I could only play over, and I'm not excited about playing Thursday night overs. I'm not excited about playing an over in a series where there have been red zone issues. I'm not excited about playing an over where the Texans have offensive line concerns. I'm not excited about playing an over in a game where I know Indy wants to run the ball 45 times. So, no, I don't have a strong take on the total. I'm sorry.
No problem.
Yeah.
No problem. No, this is it's a tricky Thursday night game, and I completely understand that mindset. Rashim Luna joining us. Love it. Okay. And Polo says we're talking about a quarterback at home on a Thursday night playing for an MVP against the Colts. Man, I get it. I absolutely get it. Okay. Teddy, let's move into NBA. Man, when the Hawks put up 44 points or whatever they did in the fourth quarter to cover against the Bucks, that's about as pumped up as I've been all year watching
Never in
NBA.
doubt.
God, it made me feel so good. It made me feel so good because I was almost going to, because I knew the DeMar DeRozan thing was just too easy, the DeMar DeRozan prop, but I almost screwed it up because our Jazz covered easily. I wanted.
That wasn't easy. That was a sweat and a half. The Jazz, the Jazz did exactly what Minnesota did on Monday. All of a sudden, late in the fourth, they got hot and drained, I think, 5 or 6 in a row. That wasn't a sweat for 3.5 quarters.
I just felt like they were going to be in control come crunch time
too.
because the idea is that Karl Anthony Towns, if all he's going to do is try to get Gobert out to the perimeter over and over and over again, you can figure out how to stop that from happening. I mean, they're trying to do the same thing over and over and over again. Sure, it works for a game. Maybe it works for 6 quarters. But at some point, you're going to be like, okay, we can defend this. We don't have to do that. We can keep Gobert in the lane. But I almost lost the glory of it because of the Cavs' first quarter, which blew up in my face badly, and that's why I needed the Hawks to cover so badly. I wish I had pulled the trigger on the Raptors and Nuggets, but I understand why I was afraid and stayed off. But the Bucks are back at it. I want to break down these 2 NBA games. I didn't get a chance to do it before you came on. Portland, Milwaukee. Milwaukee opening up at -12, now -13. The total opened up at 230, and now 227.5. My first instinct is to say, that's too many points on the second half of a back-to-back. The Bucks don't need to win this game by 18 or 20. There's going to be no Damian Lillard. It looks like there's not going to be Anthony Simmons either. Hassan Whiteside, questionable. Look, I know there's a lot of issues with the Blazers, but there's no reason for the Bucks to beat this team by 20 points. I have not pulled the trigger yet on any of these 2 games in NBA. Portland, Milwaukee, do you see the Bucks smashing the Blazers in the mouth? And what do you think of this total that's dropped 3 points from 230 to 227?
So if I had to play it, I would look at the Portland side. I don't have to play it. And I'm not convinced that I want the Blazers without Lillard in the lineup. Portland's a transitioning team. They just put Melo into the starting lineup, which tells you where they're at right now, okay? When you're taking Melo, all right, you're going to be a starter for us now. We need you to be an instant contributor. Melo's been out of the league, He can shoot jump shots. I'm not sure there's much else that he's going to contribute right now. So when he's in the starting lineup and Lillard is out, and now you say, all right, hey, the offense is running through McCollum, who's, he has his games where he's good and he has his games where you don't want any part of him. And then you're like, all right, well, this is the night Anthony's going to get 20 shots. I can understand the lean towards Portland. I lean towards Portland. I will not pull the trigger on this one. I'm going to see the Blazers actually play a good game. It's been a while for Portland. They're not very good right now. And without Lillard, I understand Bucks' second night of back-to-backs and all that. I mean, there's no way I lay with Milwaukee. It's Portland or pass. But it's a pretty clear pass for me. I don't know that I want the Blazers without Lillard at the point.
I agree. And now with no Anthony Simmons possibly as well, it's a mess. But it's a ton of points, and probably is going to go up. We'll probably see 14s. Let's move on to Pelicans, Suns. This is the type of game that I stay off of usually when there's so many issues with injuries. Baines, hip contusion against the Celtics. He didn't play against the Kings. He's not going to play tonight. Rubio is questionable at this point. So Cameron Johnson came in, and he looked good, 18 points, hit 4 3-pointers, played 26 minutes. And then Frank Kaminsky, I've always been a fan of his, 17 points, 3 3-pointers in 23 minutes. But there's just no distribution without Rubio, 24 and 22 assists in the last 2 games. And New Orleans is a mess. They did get Ingram back, and Drew Holiday playing very well. Jackson Hayes stepping up. They're handling adversity quite well in impressive fashion. But there's just so many people out of the lineup. I don't know what to do. I guess if I was given a free play right now, maybe I take the Pelicans plus the points, but I need to know if Rubio is out of the lineup. Pelicans, Suns, are you making a move here?
No. I'm a big offer on Thursday night. We can go through the games one by one as we're doing, and I'll explain to you why I'm not playing this. And this one, if I was going to play, the only way I could look is New Orleans. All right, this is Phoenix facing adversity for the first time this season. Rubio's hurt and Baines is hurt, and that's that's the 2 most important players on the team. Booker be damned. But it's certainly, and the Suns have now lost 4 of the last 6. All right, it's not just this 2-game skid. And the teams they beat in between are not good teams, although New Orleans isn't a good team. But when the straw that stirs the drink isn't right, as this is the situation with Rubio right now, And, I mean, Baines has been huge for that team. Kaminsky's at his best coming off the bench, giving them energy and threes and stretch three. I mean, he's great in that role. You want him to start, and then your whole rotations are messed up. And Kaminsky's not a starting, 4 or 5 in the NBA. Sorry. Baines is, Ayton is, not Kaminsky. So I'm not laying with Phoenix. So it's the Pelicans have won 3 of their last 4. They're playing better basketball, certainly, but they're not beating good teams. They haven't won on the road all year. And from a defensive standpoint, New Orleans is as bad as it gets. So I'm not super excited about the Pelicans side. And this is an interesting character game for Phoenix. Is this circle the wagons time after 2 straight losses? I don't know. We're learning about the Suns' character here, and I expect to learn something about them tonight. I don't want to learn on the wrong side of a losing wager. I'll learn by watching.
Questions are coming in. Ski says, take the Pelicans here. I still want to know about Rubio. I just want to have all the knowledge of what's going to happen in the game. But I guess, if Rubio's announced in, you're going to get a point more, a point and a half more. I'm going to take some more time before I make a move. But the NBA record looking beautiful at this point in the year. I just seem to have trouble getting up to the plus 20 units. Can you pop it up, Rafa, quickly? But I'm proud of where we stand there, and I like the fact that I'm not hammering as many plays as I usually do. Okay, let's move on to college football. I've been copying and pasting some of your questions. Feel free to keep hammering them at me, and I will keep copying and pasting them, and I will ask Teddy about them. All right, let's go over Teddy's looks that he gave us on Monday and discuss and figure out what he's also jumped on. Eastern Carolina, you got it minus 13.5. You got Illinois at plus 14. Texas at plus 5.5. We heard Babano liking that as well. San Jose State minus 4.5. DJ Big Boss made that his 2-unit play in the Pick 6 contest at minus 6.5. So that was a great score. Teddy getting San Jose State early in the week at minus 4.5. He then jumped on Nevada at plus 14. He was talking about Memphis earlier in the week. He did not get to the window. He has decided not to take Marshall. Oh, sorry. My fault. He got Memphis minus 14. My fault. Memphis minus 14 and Tulsa minus 2.5. Sorry. The notes are all over the place. So Nevada, Memphis, Tulsa he added, and he said no to Marshall. So let me get this off of here. And did I do that right, Teddy?
Yes, 8 plays, and you nailed all 8 of them. However, I'm off one of them, and I added one more.
Beautiful. What are you off, and what did you add?
I laid 5.5 with Baylor, the same 5.5 that I took with Texas. I'll lose my 10 cents juice there. I don't want the Longhorns this week.
Ooh, this is the game that everybody wants to talk about.
Yeah. So let me. Should I talk about that for a minute before we?
Definitely.
Before we get to the next one.
Yes, definitely.
Sure. Okay. So my initial gut reaction. Tom Herman is a dog. Baylor coming off a devastating loss. Easy. Texas. I think a lot of people have that first reaction. And I bet Texas right at the end, I'm like, this line has to go down. Well, it hasn't. Why? So then you start investigating. All right. Texas doesn't feel real good either. Everyone's like, Baylor lost. Texas lost 2 last week. That's their 4th loss of the season. This is a team that was expecting to compete for a Big 12 title. They wanted to be in the playoffs coming into the year. Now they're a 4-loss team. Texas's season is far more ruined than Baylor's season is off of last week. All right. And the quotes made me concerned that Texas is feeling that way in the locker room. All right. Then you start looking at the Baylor side of the equation. And yeah, they had Oklahoma on the ropes. They let them go last week. Well, guess what? It's senior day. It's against your arch rival. You've had a special season. They battled Texas to the wire last year, lost by 6 as 14-point dogs. They've got this game circled too. I don't think Baylor lays down. I think Baylor shows up. And that's worth laying some points with. Baylor's got the vastly superior defense of these 2 squads. So I got off the Texas side. I don't trust the Longhorns. And again, Herman's track record as a dog, we all know it. Herman is a dog the last 6 tries, 3-3 ATS, just like any other coach.
Very, very interesting. So we have Babano jumping on Texas. Teddy on Texas earlier in the week and buys off of it with Baylor. Very interesting breakdown. What is the play that you added, Teddy?
Friday night, the border war in Laramie. Betting number 113, I found a rogue 7 with, there's still 7s out there. There were 7s dancing around last night. Let me see if there's still a bit. Yeah, you can still find a 7 out there. There's not a lot of them, but there are still 7s out there with Colorado State, betting number 113. And again, in a rivalry series, you always want to see what the dog is saying. And Colorado State has spent this week practicing with the loop of Wyoming celebrating on their field last year, and stomping on the Ram and all that kind of stuff. They're supremely motivated. And from a matchup perspective, Wyoming is not a let's win this game by margin team. And the back door is always open with the Colorado State passing game. And frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if the Rams, I would talk about the back door being open. I'd be surprised if front door is open. I think Colorado State will have some success throwing the football this week against that Cowboys defense. So I took the points, took the touchdown with Colorado State in a fierce rivalry on Friday night, ESPN2. +7, Colorado State.
Colorado State +7. We have an addition to the card, and Colorado State broke my heart last week, but I like the look and great breakdown there from Teddy Covers. Okay, let's talk about what's on tonight's schedule, and then we'll go through the questions. And the big spot here tonight, NC State against, let me pull it up, Georgia Tech. I'm getting the spreads and totals here from Sportsbook Review odds page, SBR. Best odds page in the business. Georgia Tech opens up as a 1-point favorite, and it switches over to NC State. There's even a 1.5 for NC State at Bookmaker. This total's dropped 1 point from 47.5 to 46.5. NC State, Georgia Tech. Teddy, do you have an angle on this spot? How do you see it banging out?
And this is a sneaky little line move because initially the money came on Georgia Tech. This was up to 2.5, and now we're looking, with Georgia Tech laying 2.5. Now we're looking at NC State as the road chalk, and they're even 1.5 in some spots. So you can make an argument, this has been a big line move, even though when you look at it, you go, oh, it just moved from 1 to pick 'em or pick 'em to, my +1 or something like that. There's been a lot of money coming in for the road team over the course of the last 24 hours. All that said, this is, I don't want my money on either one of these teams. That's a flat out fact, okay? I do not trust Georgia Tech to do anything. Yes, they've gotten better. Okay, now we're asking them to win. They're not winning a whole lot of games. They're not very good. The offense is still as pedestrian as it gets. And, of course, we're talking still about players who were recruited for one system playing in a different system. Georgia Tech is not a good team. They haven't been a good team. I ain't going to ask them to win. Then we look at the NC State piece of the equation, and they're just as bad, if not worse, certainly down the stretch. NC State has lost a turnover battle in every conference game so far this season. That's not a good track record. They're -10 in turnovers the last 3 weeks. The defense hasn't forced a takeaway since September. Their offense, besides the turnovers, they talk about the quarterback issues. How many quarterbacks have they gone through this year? 4? And they still haven't found a good one? No, I don't want either one of these garbage teams. Pass.
We have a pass, and I get it. Absolutely get it. Okay, we have questions coming in, pouring in. I've been copying and pasting them as fast as I possibly can. So let's get into it right now and start throwing them at Teddy. The first question comes in, says from Nut Flush On, says, Jimmy, can you please ask Teddy what he thinks about Oklahoma covering against TCU? I feel like this is a spot where Oklahoma finally gets a blowout win. Want to lay some wood on this game. I don't have it in front of me for some reason. Rotation number 138. Let me pull it up. But while I'm pulling it up, what do you think of Nut Flush Allen's breakdown here? Is this a spot where Oklahoma gets a blowout win?
It's a hard game for me. I'm not going to play it. Let me start right there. I can picture a scenario in which Oklahoma throttles this team. I can. They take the momentum from what happened in the second half last week. And again, this is a team that's interested in margins. I could, and this is their final home game. I can picture that scenario, absolutely. And again, the Sooners have lost a turnover battle each of the last 3 weeks. At least part of the reason why they failed to even sniff a point spread cover in any of those ball games. All that being said, Oklahoma's failed to sniff a point spread cover for the last 3 weeks. The defense is getting gashed on a week-in, week-out basis. They've used a ton of energy. The last 3 games have all been back and forth, down to the wire. Now you're asking them to lay a big price against it. Not like TCU is good, but they're okay. And with the exception of the one game against Iowa State, they've been in every contest this year. They're not getting blown off the field. So I can picture a scenario that Oklahoma wins this game by 5 touchdowns, and I can picture a game where they finally lose. Can Gary Batterson's team pull off an upset like this? Yes, they could. Would it be the biggest shock of the year? No. So when I can see a team winning by 5 touchdowns or losing the game straight up, and they're right in between the point spread range, yeah, that's not what I'm going to play.
Oklahoma opened up at 17.5. They're still there at Pinnacle. There's been an 8-cent move towards them. It's 18 everywhere else. 18 everywhere else. The next question coming in is from Casano Magic. I've been copying and pasting as much as I can. The next question coming in, an interesting one. We've talked a bit about it already. And he says, Jimmy, can you ask Teddy if 25.5 is too many points to give Purdue against Whiskey? And I'm very interested to hear your breakdown on this. Do you think 25.5 is too many points?
Probably, but standing in front of the Badgers in this type of matchup is not something I'm excited about doing. The problem with stepping in front of Wisconsin in a game like this is threefold. One, with all the injuries Purdue's had, that is as young a team as there is in D1 football right now. They got like 25 freshmen that are involved, right? Freshmen and redshirt frosh. And against a lot of teams, it doesn't matter. Against Wisconsin, who is big and physical and has all these fifth-year starters and fourth-year starters, I worry about the physicality giving Purdue a lot of problems, and that's possible. The other issue with the Boilermakers, and again, there are multiple issues with Purdue, but another issue with the Boilermakers is that when you're looking at a team like Wisconsin, that when they have a lead, they're up 2 touchdowns, they're up, 17 points in the third quarter. All they're going to do is hand the ball off, all right? But against a tired defense with a running back like Taylor, when you hand the ball off in the third and fourth quarter, you get the big play touchdowns. You get the 60-yard TDs and the 70-yard TDs and the one broken tackle and the guy's gone. And a 17-point lead turns into a 24-point lead, turns into a 31-point lead. Just ask anyone that had UMass last week for that type of example. Where, all right, you fight, you run out of gas, and then it's big play touchdowns. I do worry about that. For Purdue, I worry about it a fair bit. I ain't laying with Wisconsin. They're playing for the West title next week against Minnesota, and that's a sure look ahead. And I haven't been as high on the Badgers as the market has all year, so I don't want the favorite here, but I do worry about the Dogs' ability to hang tough for 60 minutes. If I was taking Purdue, I'd probably take them first half as opposed to full game.
That's interesting. The first half is an interesting look. Okay, next up, Sue's 387, whom we love dearly. Sue's lives over in Hawaii and says, morning, Jimmy, did you folks already go over San Diego Aztecs versus Hawaii Warriors this weekend? And we have a few times, but let's hook Sue's up right now quickly. Hawaii opening up at -1, now 2.5 and 3s, and DJ Big Boss thinking that San Diego State won't be able to answer Hawaii. What do you think about Hawaii here?
This is for the right to go to the Mountain West title game. So Hawaii's live. San Diego State needs to win too, and I think San Diego State's the better of the two teams. So I could only look at the Aztecs plus the points in this one, and I understand that Hawaii. If this game, aside total are related here, San Diego State is not winning a shootout. That's not the way they're built. But I also think that the Aztecs are a little bit undervalued. In part because they play better than their final scores would indicate. They've had a lot of problems putting the biscuit in the basket. The ball doesn't get in the end zone. If you watched them against Fresno last week, a game that they absolutely dominated, but you turn it over in the red zone, you turn it over again in the red zone, you get stopped on downs, you missed field. There were a litany of miscues for the Aztecs, and that's been fairly consistent over the course of the season. And Hawaii hasn't done that nearly as much as San Diego State, but You ask me which of these two teams is better, and I'm going to say San Diego State's the better team, and they're catching points, and it's a meaningful game. I can only look at the Aztecs plus in this one.
Eddie Euler says, Jimmy, Teddy, leaning over in Boston College, Notre Dame. Any thoughts on the total? Rotation number 161 to 162. It opened at 62.5. It's now at 63.5 at Pinnacle and Bet Online, 64 at some other books, and 64.5 at Heritage. Do you think that Eddie Euler should try to get over this total?
It's a game where I really think side and total are very related. All right. If Boston College can move the football, they're likely able to cover the point spread, and the game's likely to go over the total. If BC can't move the football, it's Notre Dame and under. And if they can, it's BC and over. So it's the kind of deal where if you're going to bet, maybe you want to try to maximize it. And, if you like the over, all right, well, over absolutely correlates with the underdog in this one because it comes down to can BC move the football. Notre Dame's going to get theirs. Can BC get theirs? I don't know. That's why I'm not playing side or total. I really don't know if BC can run. Because if BC can't, the quarterback play for the Eagles is not capable of moving the ball up and down the field against the Irish defense. And it'll be a disaster if they can't run. It'll be a blowout. So maybe that's something where you in-game, we watch early. If BC's able to control the line of scrimmage on offense, maybe in-game some BC and in-game some over. And if they can't, maybe in-game some Notre Dame and in-game some under. And that's a matchup that I'm not, like, in thinking about it, picturing it, and reading about it, I'm not sure if that's going to be an area of success for Boston College. But I'm convinced if it's not, they're in big trouble in the game.
Next question comes from our guy, Fade the Picks guy. Says, what does Teddy think about LSU minus 43 and the over-under at 69, rotation number 197, 198, Arkansas, LSU? We just heard from Gas Station Sushi, who max bet Akron last night, that he is max betting Purdue and Arkansas with the points. There are a lot of them here, Teddy. It opened at 43.5. Pinnacle's taking it down to 42.5. Still 43.5 with other books. Intertops and you wager at 44. This total opened up at 71, and it's down to 69.5 at Pinnacle and 69 at other books. What do you think of side total Arkansas, LSU?
I'm not going to play the game. I'm definitely not going to play the game. Whenever you're taking 6 touchdowns, and look, kudos on Akron last night. Right side, wire to wire, rivalry, step up, all of that. And the Zips, played, sad to say, they played their best game of the year. Do you trust Arkansas to bring their best game of the year here? Their road games have been ugly. A lot of their losses have been ugly. And I don't lay 44, okay? I'm not going to get involved with the LSU side. But when a dog is in the plus 40 range, it's telling you what you need to know. You'll find your spots to cash in. I'm not convinced this is one of them. Easy pass for me. Not even close.
An easy pass. We are running out of time, and I know there was a lot of questions sent in, so I'll just keep rolling through. Trisaurus says, Jimmy, I'm curious to see what Teddy thinks about Air Force. They have top 30 offense and defense, and New Mexico is ranked 100+ in both categories. Air Force, New Mexico. You have a feel on this?
If I'm playing, I'm laying. And I really wouldn't talk anyone out of laying the points with the Falcons. It's a blowout spot. It's a team that it's an opponent that, say going through the motions, and it's been a rough year for New Mexico. And Air Force is a team. Again, the advantage of taking a team like Air Force and laying points with them is that even when they're ahead, the intensity and the execution is still going to be there. And when they're facing an opponent that is gassed and then done with the game midway through the third, Air Force the potential to run it up and create big plays down the stretch. So the lean there is absolutely towards Air Force, the only way I would look.
And there are more questions. We don't have time to get to them, but I will copy and paste them. On tomorrow's sheet so we can get to them. And it'll start with Casano Magic's Old Dominion, Middle Tennessee. Teddy, what a treat it is to roll with you. Thank you for all your insights and hard work. Everybody out there, follow Teddy Covers on Twitter at Teddy_covers. Good luck on this Thursday night, and can't wait to have another day capping this card with you tomorrow morning. Teddy, thank you for all your hard work, my friend.
Hey, my pleasure, Jimmy. Thank you. And just so you know, that Old Dominion, Middle Tennessee, No way, dude. Not either side do I want in that game. I can tell you flat out. Pass on the dog, pass on the favorite. Good luck tonight, guys. We'll talk again tomorrow.
There he is. Teddy covers. You're not ugly, just poor. Says anyone capping the Coyotes game? Yeah, I mean, we heard Babano take the Leafs. And you can blindly just take teams when they have a new coach. But there might be something wrong with that Leafs team that the coach won't change, and we shall see. We shall see. But I only have 3 plays in NHL. I wish I had more. There's Mr. Gokster in the house. I wish I had more. But you just take what the league gives you. Stars -1.5 plus 160. Panthers -1.5 plus 140 in the under 6 in the Kings Oilers game. And I haven't made a move in NHL, and I haven't made a move in NFL yet. So a lot more work to do. A lot more work to do. And Eric Nisbet, Trump not to get impeached plus 110. Trump not to get impeached plus 110. And let's go over our Matt Randall's looks on this card. Go over his taint play of the day very quickly before we put a bow on this show. Matt Randall, taint play of the day, Baylor -14.5. Neutral site game, and Baylor gets everyone back for this one. Everyone back versus one of the youngest teams in D1. Other plays that Matt Randall's on, and we will talk about this on the late show. Charlotte +4.5. Western Carolina -1. Winthrop -14.5. Duquesne -6. Robert Morris +8.5. And Matt Randall added North Florida at +15. That is our show. Let's get after it. We're seeing things clearly in NHL and NBA, and it makes me very excited. So let's keep it up. Let's keep it up. Ronnie Christian says, who wants to back the Leafs without Anderson? I hear that. Big late show with our guy, Maxwell Smart. Please join us then. Thank you guys for all the insights and all the humor and everything you do in the chat. We have no show without this incredible chat. I know that for sure. But most importantly, let's get after it. Leche, Elo's Bookmakers.